Howard, what has been Sheri's vision and role in building the Schultz Family Foundation?
Sheri's level of empathy and compassion cannot be described in words. And not because she's sitting here, not because she's my wife. She has an innate emotional feeling, connection, responsibility to people who are suffering, people who are being left behind, and wants to do everything she possibly can to try and help others. So she began the foundation thinking that this was going to be skewed specifically to homeless youth and disenfranchised kids, which the Obama administration labeled as opportunity youth. And as we said earlier, that scaled into a much bigger opportunity to really try and hire hundreds of thousands of kids in terms of their first job. And then secondarily, I had the great fortune of having Secretary Gates on the Starbucks board for almost the last decade.
Former
Gates.
Defense Secretary.
Yeah. And Secretary Gates came to me and said, I want to talk to Sheri, you and Sheri, about the challenge of post 9/11 veterans coming home, 1 million plus in the next few years. This is going back 2 years ago. And these people are coming home not only without a parade, but a lack of understanding from the American people, because less than 1% of the American people basically have had any skin in the game in the people who have worn the cloth of the nation in Iraq and Afghanistan. Because 99% of the American people have not been directly involved in who has served. And so when Secretary Gates sat down with Sheri and I and explained all this to us, I immediately said to Sheri and to Daniel, who runs the foundation with Sheri, I think there's an opportunity to create a second plank, a second foundational focus. And in fact, we began to see some threads of not exactly the same, but they mirrored each other in a way. These kids who were not in school and not in work and didn't have a chance, misunderstood, of great value to our society, great resources, and great, fantastic people. And then post 9/11 veterans who needed a transition.
And don't know how to apply for a job.
No, and in fact,
many of them have never had a job in civilian life.
And Sheri and I sat in a focus group, and she can tell the story as well, where we were visiting bases, and we were sitting down with veterans who were transitioning out. And like everything else, we really did our homework and due diligence and tried to understand all this. We were in a focus group, and a young soldier stood up and said, and we couldn't believe these words. He said, I have more anxiety about going to a job interview than I have to go back to Iraq.
And do
another deployment. And we heard that. We said, did he just say that? And I think that was the impetus to say, we have to do something. And so I'll let Sheri pick it up from here. But basically, the foundation is now a force for positive change for opportunity youth, as well as post 9/11 veterans. And the work we've done, I'm so incredibly proud of. And Sheri and Daniel deserve all the credit in the world. And it was Secretary Gates who kind of was the impetus and brought this to us.